So, all right, we are recording. Again, new face again this week. I know a lot of us over here. Tyler and I have been talking, and talked with Nick. He was talking to his son. I was like, yeah, we reached out to Terra Grappler, and we got Dan joining us today. I was going to ask a question about pin cancer and Terra Grappler. He said your lead designer might be able to hop in with us. It'd be really awesome. So, thanks for joining us, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, for sure.
Yeah, I got a song with Nick. I'd ordered the shoes I got over here. I'll pull them out here in a second. And I was gonna do like just a little product review on our show anyway. And then I was like, hey, let me just reach out, see what he's got going on, see if you could join us.
Oh yeah,
why not? It's kind of one of those things we've talked about during quarantine and everything else, like trying to get more people on, and it doesn't take but a sec to reach out and just ask people. And
there you go.
I waited until quarantine and all this stuff happened to start doing that, but here we go. So
everyone's got so much time on their hands. They're home. They're like, let's do this.
Yeah,
start a podcast.
Yeah, I know other people have been able to do it. We've actually been able to be a little bit more regular with ours, because part of it not having, I guess, practices, all the different things so much, or your schedules work out a little bit differently. But you were just saying you were up in Jersey. You said about an hour outside New York.
Yeah, so we're based about an hour outside New York City. We're up in the middle of the woods in good old New Jersey country farmland, which a lot of people don't know, but we do have a lot of farmland in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And we haven't got much rain like we were just talking, but the grass is brown right now. But the one plus to that is that you don't have to cut it.
There you go. I know for us, we got the crabgrass growing. Like the weeds seem to take off all the stuff. But
trust me, I know about those weeds right now. They're everywhere. That's another thing I've been picking all day was weeds. We got a ton of ragweed and the pain.
There you go.
It's a workout.
It is, man. I'm broken out all over my skin.
All right, and now we have Jared on. Jared, Dan was just talking. We were just talking about where you guys were located. Said you're able to join us, and we appreciate you joining us on the Cerebrus podcast here. We just talked a little bit about wrestling and anything else we can get into. So
let's do it.
Cool. So first off, you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got you.
Got it. Cool. So
awesome.
All right. Well, I guess I want to start off with the first question was, obviously I've seen pin cancer. Dan, I don't know if you recognize the name for my name from before. It's been several years. My school did like a little fundraiser. We were trying to do some screen printing. We reached out to you. We didn't raise a whole lot of money, but we tried to do a little something for pin cancer. And I think that was before Terra Grappler, or I remember seeing a whole lot with Terra Grappler. But are like pin cancer and Terra Grappler kind of combined, kind of not combined? How does that work? Like, what do you think of the
Sure. Yeah, so the answer is yes and no. Jared and I actually started Pin Cancer about 8 years ago. Since then, we grew up from a small grassroots campaign. We were going around locally here in New Jersey selling T-shirts and support bands. And, fast forward 8 years, we've raised over $2 million, and our proceeds go to St. Jude. During that process, I introduced a new online fundraising software. And a lot of our fundraising turned to digital and peer-to-peer. And to kind of incentivize the kids to raise as much money as possible, we gave them incentives based on the amount that they raised. So we started with $100 and then $500 and $1,000. And what I was doing, I was going to these other wrestling manufacturers and brands and getting gear from them. And my buddy Jared, who's been involved with this, from the start, he's good at design. And I looked at him and said, dude, we can totally do this on our own and cut out the middleman. And kind of, the goal is to save money for pin cancer by charging the nonprofit less, obviously, and then create a product that kids are going to want to raise $1,000 to earn. And we've landed on wrestling shoes at that time. And, we started with that back in 2017. Pin Cancer and Terra Grappler are completely separate. Obviously, Pin Cancer is a nonprofit and Terra Grappler is a for-profit. So we do donate a portion of every sale back to Pin Cancer, which is nice. And then we kind of piggyback Terra Grappler off of Pin Cancer's contacts and leads that we already had. And that's kind of how we jump-started it. And that's where we are today with, we just launched, Jared, was this our 4th shoe, I believe, so far?
Matador Premier 1.5, 1.0, yeah, fourth.
Fourth. So that's basically, in a nutshell, how Pink Cancer and Terra Grappler cooperate together. And we just happen to run both of those organizations. As of recent, we kicked Jared off the board for Pink Cancer for any conflict of interest. So he got the boot, but he's still involved with all that stuff.
So he's off the boot. He's off, but he's still involved.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That's awesome. Appreciate the little backstory about that because, again, we were wondering about that just because obviously the logo on the shoe and different things like that. And we're like, I know they did it for it, but I wasn't quite sure how they interacted with each other per se.
Yeah. So yeah, the logo, we went through that transition where it was a little confusing. We wanted to use the logo for Terra Grappler, and the whole idea is when you see that logo, understand that a portion of that also goes back to Pink Cancer. But in that 3-year transition, we kind of took just that logo, even though it's still within the Pink Cancer logo. That's Terra Grappler's, main logo.
And their windows. So, awesome. Really cool. Really cool. I don't know. You kind of mentioned a few different things, like already just answered a few questions. When you guys started with it, like, what did it take to I know you said you guys could do it. Like, what did it take to design that first shoe? Like, what's that process, that jump off line? What inspired all that? I mean, I know what inspired it, but how'd you guys kind of get started with that?
Jared, that's all you, man. How'd you start the first design?
Yeah, well, it kind of sounds a little robotic in the way I'm going to describe it, but Dan and I were out at a bar and we sketched it on a napkin. We were kind of looking at a couple of other different shoes, what we liked about them, what they were kind of missing, what can kind of serve as something unique in the eyes of wrestlers. And that's kind of where you see the Joker behind you, Ed, where we figured out that spine tread would kind of come in handy. So that's where we were kind of sketching on that cocktail napkin, what that would look like, how it would function, how it would be molded to the shoe, how it would provide extra support and all those good things. Now, I do start a lot of my shoes with sketches. I scan them onto the computer, and then I go into Photoshop or Illustrator. From that, one single shoe design on paper can lead to about a dozen kind of sub-design or umbrella design. I get it into digital, then I could manipulate shapes, sizes, and textures and materials, and all of a sudden, your almost finished product looks nothing like what you started on paper, but it's that beginning creative phase that every artist loves to be at, that blank piece of paper, that blank whiteboard where you can really let the juices start flowing.
That's awesome. I really appreciate it as Coach Tyler over here is my assistant coach. I wrestled with Nick in college and, as a coach, and then I'm also an art teacher. So everything you just said kind of that for me, geeking out, this is the best of both worlds of art, design, and wrestling. So, I think that's really cool. And I tell my kids all the time, you got to start with the sketches and the drawings of whatever product we're working on. And, they always want to jump to that final product and think that their first idea in their mind is what their end result is going to be. But you just said, you can end up someplace completely different from where that first sketch started, which is, just reassuring to always hear other people talk about that kind of thing as well. So. Yeah,
and the one thing you always have to remind yourself, if you feel like that first thing is a home run, sometimes it is, but there's still, you have to go through 1,000 no's to hit that yes.
Yeah. Now, the Joker here, was this one of the, I can't remember, was this the 1.5 or was there one before the Jokers or one, was it called the OG or something? I can't remember.
Yeah, that's part of the Premier family. So there was, the OG, the Sissy, and the Joker were on the first run of releases. Mm-hmm. And then we released the Judge, which was the black and white. The Judge and the OG were the best sellers, followed by the Sissy and then the Joker.
Cool. Now, I remember, I think Tyler and I did a show a while back when the Jokers came out and we talked about it. There were a lot of delays with that initial run of things coming out. I imagine you guys, that was a stressful time, kind of trying to release that shoe. But here you guys are with having opened the box. Well, I've opened the box so you can look at it. But here you guys are, you said, with your fourth shoe. How have things changed from that first initial run of dealing with trying to get everything out to everybody and everybody having to wait for so long to now being able to, be on your fourth shoe and the progression that I guess you guys have made since then to now with everything? how's that worked out for you guys?
Yeah, your maiden voyage, you're always going to hit delays. You're always going to hit some barriers that you got to get off, that you got to get over, I should say, from manufacturing to finding the right materials to understanding how much longer shipping by sea takes from compared to shipping by air. So it's a whole logistical conversation as well. And it was our first year working with new manufacturers. So we're still all, trying to get in the same cohesive, start rowing in the same cohesive direction. And I think you're going to start seeing the fruits of that, especially with the Predator 1.5s. We have everything ironed out now. It's a better feeling shoe. It's a better structured shoe. So it's just kind of working out the kinks. I mean, I work for a big tech company and they go through the same things. You talk about, like Samsung phones, they used to blow up in people's pockets. Apple had antenna gate. You're going to hit snags out of the gate. But it's our job to put something in the hands of customers that is different, that makes them feel better, that helps them perform better.
Yeah. I mean, I can say honestly, like I said, I waited for these. I was happy to wait for them as a coach and not as a current athlete. Like, I think I had a little bit more luxury of waiting and being able to be on board with that, so it didn't bother me so much. But I got to say, like, when I placed the order for the Supernova, I mean, I think with the order came up available on a Friday. Like, I think I had it like Tuesday, so that give the weekend and then things. So, like, kudos to you guys. Like, that was just a world of difference on turnaround. So I can say as a customer, yeah, I mean, you guys learned from that, and shipping was great. I mean, it was quick, came right on out and stuff. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, let me hop in real quick. I was going to ask a question about the lining that's in the shoe. Now, as far as I know of, I haven't seen any other shoes do that. Was that kind of an idea that you had from the start? Like, that was something you kind of wanted to build around, is having that inner lining sock thing connected?
Yeah, I would say when we first started this, we knew we had to have a differentiator. And I think we were the first ones to do that. And even that inner sock layer has been improved in every single shoe as well. So we started out with one in our two different styles of shoes, the Premiers and the Predators. They're similar, but at the same time, they have different functionalities. And we just, every time we release a shoe, I'm sure the next 1.5s, if we release another colorway, it's going to have an improvement. So, yeah, to answer your question, Tyler, that was something that Jared and I spoke about. We said we're not going to make any noise if we don't have a differentiator. And we thought that was a perfect fit given, how much wear and tear a wrestler puts on, like, their ankles and whatnot. And we thought comfort's going to be a huge key here. So that's why we put them in our shoe.
Yeah, because that's one thing I absolutely love about y'all's shoe is that inner liner. I think it's awesome.
Thanks. I mean, for a lot of coaches, too, we talked to a lot of coaches, even here in New Jersey. I'm not going to mention any names or schools or anything like that, but a lot of them don't even tie our shoes because they just slip them on and they're already a snug fit and they're just so comfortable to get on and off. So I don't know, maybe you do the same thing.
Yeah,
yes, we do actually.
Yeah,
I know I did that with some of my old Adidas ones. I know he's done it with his. I've seen him walk around with them untied and just it stays attached to his foot. So yeah, we're guilty of that too.
Yeah.
I can honestly say I can't think of. I mean, I do have other wrestling shoes, and we rotate them out. But when I put on the Terra Grappler with that sock lining, I can honestly say I can put the shoe on and go wrestle a live go with some of my guys, and not worry about the shoe coming off. I mean, I don't lace up my other shoes, and depending on what happens, they're probably going to slip, and you might come out of your shoe, and then like, why didn't you tie your shoe? But with these, I haven't tried these ones yet in the room, but the Jokers, yeah, I could on a regular not worry about lacing those up, and it was kind of cool. And as a coach, being the one running into the room and dealing with meetings and all that kind of stuff, like sooner I can get on the mat for my guys, the better off. So So,
all right. Well, I'm sitting here learning a lot about the shoe because I don't have one. I'm the guy that doesn't have one. My sons mentioned it. They've mentioned it. It's the first time I've learned about the sock lining. And yeah, I'm the guy. I'll go untied when I'm teaching, but going live, you got to stop and tie them up. So it's definitely a plus. How are you guys competing with the Rudis, the Asics, the big boys to try to get more of a foothold in there? Because I know you said grassroots. Seeing social media, like I said, I was driving home with my son from a camp, and I mentioned you guys, and his eyes lit up, and like we pulled it up. I was like, oh, okay, I know who those guys are. So how are you getting out to the average wrestling person that may not know you?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have, I wouldn't say we have the same budgets, unfortunately, of those big players. So we once in a while we'll run at some social ads, especially when we have a new release coming out. But to be honest, a lot of it's word of mouth. And Jared, I'll quote Jared with this one. You know, the product sells itself. So we feel like we're in a position now 3 years in where we're extremely confident in our shoe. We do have some things in the pipeline that may put us on the map a little bit. But yeah, to answer your question, how do we compete? It's hard. It's definitely hard to grab that awareness factor. Over time, you know, we'll have it. We're confident that if someone buys a shoe from us, they'll continue to buy shoes from us just because of the feel and the structure and what we've done with the shoe.
Yeah.
That, and you know, we're not looking at huge volumes per shoe, as you guys probably know. Most of our releases are one-time releases. Once they sell out, we go on to the next one. So that's a factor when it comes to, you know, kids wanting to be unique. And I think that's not just wrestling shoes, but that's the trend we're seeing with a lot of brands that deal with this type of, you know, product.
Yeah,
I got you.
Yeah, I've noticed there's some UFC fighters I've seen rocking y'all shoes during training. Gregor Gillespie is one I've seen wearing Terra Grapplers. I think he had some Predators on one day. I can't remember.
Yep.
I follow him on Instagram. I think I've seen Dominic Cruz wear them. I mean, there's people out there who obviously love this shoe. I mean, it's an awesome shoe. So it'd be exciting when people get into them.
I think so. Yeah, we Jared, I don't know if you can answer this question. I'm not sure if Gregor reached out to us or other way around, but right away he saw them and we were like, "Yep, we'll send him a pair." And what he ended up doing was he was wearing them for everything. So he was training outside, he was training inside, he was on the mat, and he really put them to the test, which was cool to see. And the one that we just released is a collaboration with Gregor, the 1.5 red and black. And if you look at that shoe, we probably don't do the best job promoting it, which is probably intentional. But the back of that shoe on the heel, let me grab it real quick. It actually says gift edition, so I'm not sure if you can see it, but
Yeah.
So that's
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's Gregor the Gift, right? So we did just a collaboration with him, and it definitely took off. I think we spiked a lot of interest, especially in the UFC game, because again, these are guys that really aren't wearing them every single day, and they just want something comfortable. And another UFC guy is Dennis Bermudez. He wore them. It's really cool to see those guys train, those guys that, you know, are on TV, where otherwise you're not seeing too many of these wrestlers, especially now, on TV. So
yeah. I mean, I just put the shoe on again, or not again. This is literally the first time I put this one on, just because I was waiting for the show, and it comes out. I think you guys advertised that. Love at first fit. You know, you feel it. It's, you know, I didn't realize you were mentioning it. Now it was piquing my curiosity, talking about how like the sock liners changed a little bit from the shoe, and I was like, how could it really get better or more comfortable than what it was? But yeah, you can feel a difference between this one and the Joker, you know. So like I was like, oh wow, okay, yeah, I can feel a difference. It fits nice. I noticed you guys mentioned that one on these here. Like you guys have done some detail work and just little things in there that are around, you know, as a designer and art teacher and artist myself, like that I noticed when I got it, and I was like, oh, that was cool. I mean, I never would have thought anything if it was just a plain black material, you know, because there's other, but I was like, oh, there's a cool pattern there. There's something else, you know. So it's kind of like a little Easter egg hunt to find along the way.
Yep, definitely. That's kudos to Jared on that. And Jared, you can go into detail, but even the transition from the Predator 1.0s, which we released, what was that, last year or so, to these, it's basically the same shoe, but Jared, you can give an overview of some of the improvements you made, and especially, Ed, like you're talking about, the artistic and the Easter egg hunt type of thing, where we're putting small things in the shoes that we're not really marketing, but each shoe, even if you got a gift edition, and I'll show you real quick one more time, you know, there's small changes to the shoe. So the front of this shoe is a little bit different than the front of the Supernova that you have. And then obviously the back is a little bit different. But Jared, why don't you hop in and tell them some of the improvements you made?
Yeah, but before I do that, I'll just mention the kind of Easter egg hunt thing that you mentioned there, Ed. I think, providing small sound bites or some small glimpses of some stories online, even our Chrome tips on the red and black Predator 1.5 there, or the red tips, or the one you have there, Ed. Small things like that. I mean, we're going to keep going with that kind of thing. We're going to do some hidden messaging on the sole of the shoe, some motivational quotes, things like that. I have some other ideas that, when you're not going to notice it at first look, but it's going to be one of those things that provides a really cool and different and elevated marketing angle for us as an organization. But some of the improvements that we made, without going into some crazy detail, was the sole stiffness on the Predators was very important for us. We wanted it to last longer. So with that, you have to kind of, you put your chemistry hat on and expand on the amount of calcium powder that you use when you're mixing the additive for the outsole. Then you got to go and test it for 6 months to make sure that it is holding up to your standards. So with every little change like that, structural, you definitely have to go back to the drawing table and make sure that you're doing your testing. People that follow me on Instagram know that I kind of put out, some announcements here and there when we're looking for testers. I get about a dozen or 15 shoes in for trial runs, and that's really the big thing, making sure these things last without any signs of like wear and tear for 6 months, because we know that there is a secondary secondary market for wrestling shoes. So we want to make sure that kids kind of get the fix that they have, get these shoes on their feet, wrestle with them, and then also make sure that they live to tell the story and have the ability to trade, buy, and sell online with them.
Yeah, Tyler. So, I've started a collection of shoes. I'm happy to say that I've got now the Jokers and the Supernovas added to that collection. Tyler's more of my guy that is looking for the older classic shoes and doing things. And so, yeah, I think Tyler definitely knows about, that longevity and resale and looking for a shoe. I'll just throw it out there. If you ever need any testers, we'll be glad to
Oh yeah, 100%. Like 100%.
But no, yeah, I think that's really cool. And like I said, just those little things with detail. And I think it's cool that you've been able to talk about how you went from a 1 to the 1.5 and having changes. It's not just a name change with a different colorway, but that you guys have updated some stuff. So that's really cool.
Yeah, there were a lot of upgrades with the 1.5 too. So we went stiffness of the outsole, thickness of the midsole, and then we also
Jared, you're cutting out.
Where you brought it up. Oh no.
Oh no, I know what you're talking about.
The Matterhorn stock layer up a half inch.
Okay, yeah, he's good now.
Yeah, you cut out, but I'll show you real quick. So this was something that we spoke about when we did the 1.5. So this is the 1.0, and just by looking at it real quick, you can see where the sock comes up to, and this is where we brought the sock. If you can see that on the 1.5. So definitely a lot more support. The sock itself, we brought in probably a centimeter or two to make it tighter around the ankle as well. So just seeing those small improvements, and like what Jared said, making the sole a little tougher so it's going to last a lot longer.
All right, so I'm going to make
one more improvement. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, you're good.
These are small things, right? So when you look at this, we have no TPU here that comes up. So this part of the sole is actually stitched to the fabric to the side of this shoe. So Jared saw that, and on this one we made an improvement where the TPU goes over top of that. So small improvements like that, where you have just basically a better structured shoe where it's not going to come apart ever.
Yep.
All right. So I was going to ask, this is going to be like an Ed question. It's going to make Ed really happy. So what kind of generates your ideas? Like, how do you go from different ones? What makes you go, oh, let's do this? What kind of gets the blood boiling? What makes all the designs happen? Outside of a bar with the napkin.
Yeah, first, I think the napkins. And then, to be honest, Jared is up at 3 in the morning. I'll get a text once in a while. I'm like, what are you doing, man? And he'll just be like, I got an idea. And I get a picture of like a new rendered shoe online. He's probably done like 100 so far. I don't know, Jared, what's your inspiration?
It goes back to that kind of sketch, and then when I get it into digital form, you can do so many things digitally in half the amount of time you can with pencils and ink. It's just taking it and looking at it, and you have to be real with yourself. Is this something I would buy? How would this look once you start photographing it? What kind of colors are trending right now in the wrestling community? Is this something that are these color combinations we haven't seen. In even naming convention, a lot of our names we don't spend too much time thinking about. It's kind of like the first things that pops into mind, and it can go, based off color or shape or patterns or something like that. So, we don't have a set way of thinking about it. All I know is that over the last 2.5 years, we have about 40 designs that some other companies would be really happy to put out right now in terms of a product. But we're going to get them all in as samples. They could look a little different once they're in physical form, and we'll kind of change them and kind of let them shape themselves. Dan and I might have a couple drinks by the pool one night and say, you know what, we should change this. And I go, I think you're right. I think that'll look a lot better, especially on a screen. When people are kind of at the point of purchase. So there's a lot of things kind of going through our heads, and it kind of speaks to our, everyday jobs, I guess, where we have to kind of make those decisions as well. And, we work in large teams, but Dan and I, a 2-man team, we kind of, stay in our silos, but, sometimes kind of cross over and exchange ideas.
Oh,
Awesome. Another question. You guys kind of answered questions as we've talked, which is really kind of cool. Tyler was talking about like some of the UFC guys and things, and I know you guys, you talk about budgets and things like that. But with now, we see more and more, I guess, senior level wrestlers like signing with, they still sign with Nike and Adidas, and you still got those guys. But now Rudis has started signing some people. Scrap Life had some stuff, which I hadn't been overly thrilled with their like designs for shoes or anything like that. But really like yours a whole lot better. But like, is there something in the future where you guys might be able to get a few of these senior level guys, or is that something that's in the works maybe, or a thought process of like, hey, it'd be cool if we had the senior level guys out there? Is that something?
Yeah. So full disclosure, we have 2 guys right now that are wearing those Predator 1.5s that are on the senior level.
Awesome.
They're not going to be public with it right now because we haven't done anything with them. But yeah, I think part of it comes down to budget. Part of it comes down to, I hate to say this, but the ROI of the athletes. As you just mentioned, a lot of these guys are making one-time runs on the senior level and then transitioning to UFC because your career is going to last a lot longer in the UFC. And let's be honest, you're going to make a lot more money. So
yep.
That's just the way it is. I don't know. I look at some of the guys that Root has picked up, and it's like, I think at first with the Snyder shoe, they made some noise, and it definitely helped them in regards to volume. But is it helping them right now? I'm not 100% sure. Especially when you have guys moving across the country from, Ohio. Now he's over out in Scrap Life territory. So
yeah,
who knows? It comes down to that.
Yeah, to further Dan's point, and this goes
Jared,
to
your background keeps changing. What are you doing?
I was about to say the same thing. It's like a different background each time. Like.
Yeah, I'm trying to get appropriate lighting and not cut out.
Are you in the green screen?
But it goes to Dan's experience with growth marketing. And, if you're going to pay an athlete X amount of dollars for eyeballs and their seal of approval, we can most likely spend less and have the same exact reach. I mean, wrestling is not a massive market. You're talking about between 900,000 and 1 million pairs of shoes sold a year. And a lot of those are repeat purchases. So, the average wrestler probably buys about 2 to 3 pairs a year, and that's on the low side. So with our math and our trend analysis, we can hit the same people that the big companies are hitting.
Cool.
Yeah,
I
and
think
it
you
seems
blew
like
that out of the proportion too. I think it's less than 2 to 3 pairs of shoes a year for average guy. I'm thinking like when I was in high school wrestling, I'm pretty sure I only had 1 pair of shoes per year.
Yeah, I get as the high school athlete, I was that way. I think just being a coach, my kid will be lucky when he gets to my shoe size.
Yeah,
that's exactly what my son is now. He's on my shoe size, so he's like, "Dad, you buy that pair for you. Get the coaching staff to do that. I want you to buy this for me, and I've got all of these."
Yeah.
So now that's what I was going to bring up. You guys talking about marketing? I know I asked that question earlier, and you guys have kind of like what we're doing now with this. You guys almost have free advertising with Instagram. So is that something that you guys are looking into to try to help booster your sales and everything else?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we wanted to do a legitimate photo shoot too for these upcoming shoes, and we kind of ran out of time, and we couldn't get to certain people's places, and we weren't allowed to have more than 2 people inside. Um, so that put a damper on this release. Although we did phenomenal with the release just by sending out an email or two, and like you said, organic reach on Instagram is nice. We rely on it a little bit, but it's I would say a lot of the purchases for this new shoe, I don't know, Jared, you can correct me, but I'd say at least 30% are repeat customers, if not more, which is really cool to see. And it comes down to like what you guys are saying. I just think we have to get more people to know about us, and we're on the verge. I think at the end of this year, we'll figure that out in regards to where we want to spend our money and who do we want to invest in, and whether that's just social ads or an athlete or both. I'm not sure yet.
Sounds fair. Sounds like you also mentioned, I was going to say, like, with the effects of like COVID and everything and not being able to go do things, and just didn't know how much of an effect that had on your guys' plans for releases. Like, it's already planned and you guys decided, okay, let's go ahead and release it anyway, even though people are out of school and can't meet and do things, or how much thought was there of like maybe holding them back off on a release or something because of that?
Yeah, we ended up pushing this release back a couple months. We expected the shoe to be in earlier, but we didn't want to do, Ed, like what you were experiencing with the premieres where you're waiting on a shoe for 2 months. So we wanted to make sure that we had it in. And then Jared and I actually brainstormed and we said, do we want to promote this for a couple of weeks? And we ultimately said no. I think we promoted it for 4 days and we did fairly well. So, yeah, I mean, COVID definitely hurt us a little bit. It slowed down the manufacturing a lot. But as of right now, we're ahead of the curve when it comes to what we want to release. I mean, we already have shoes coming in right now that we're waiting on that we haven't even put out there. No one even knows about them yet. So, and they've already been tested for, 6 months, if not more. So, we're there.
We have 2021 and 2022 shoes that we could manufacture right now and put to sale, but we have such a great product pipeline. We're just going to let them go through the ringer and let them hit their maturity and kind of just do what we designed this company and these products to do. And that's just, garner attention through clean, crisp designs, popping colors, great stories. And, along the way, have these wrestlers generate a strong affinity to our brand and our brand mark.
Awesome. I guess one of my last questions about shoes, because I noticed that you guys also had running shoes. Are those something you guys are going to look at continuing, or was that like a one-time shot, or how are the other shoes faring? Like, obviously, I'm in love with the wrestling shoe, but I have eyed the running shoes on there just because of how much I did like the quality and product that you guys have done so far. Other shoes and other apparel, how are those things doing in comparison to your guys' shoe, I guess?
I would say our main focus is definitely wrestling shoes. Being that there's only 2 of us and being that Jared's basically the only one designing, it comes down to time. So we fought on this probably a year ago for a long time, where we did team gear for a handful of teams, and I didn't agree with it. Jared wanted to do it, so he did it, and it's worked out so far. So again, it was something that we worked all the kinks out, and now I'm 100% on board to do more team gear because we've made it automated and we have a nice product lineup. In regards to the sneakers, I love the first run that we did, and Jared can talk more about the design, but we did great. We have a couple here in stock. That's about it. We just talked about maybe doing another release of that one and changing maybe something different on it, but it's a good product. I mean, I've been wearing them every day. I mean, I cut the lawn in them, and I'm at the gym with them and everything, and they're holding up. So it's good to see that. In regards to releasing another one, that's a question for Jared.
Yeah, so with the training shoes, it's kind of two-pronged. We want people to come and go to matches and practice in our footwear. And we also want to, more parents email us than the kids. So we want to make sure that we also have something for dads, especially because it's something, not every dad's going to be rocking a pair of, Predator 1.5s, but we will give them an opportunity to get into our training shoes. So that was kind of the background on that. Eventually we will. We want the next one to be special, not kind of resemble a sneaker, but be more a little technologically advanced, more along the lines of our wrestling shoes, so that when you do slip them on, your mindset and your emotions kind of are the same and parallel with our wrestling shoes. So we'll probably have something to announce within the next 12 months.
That's really cool. Really cool.
Yep.
Yeah, to add to Jared's comment, a lot of parents are emailing us. So it's good to see that parents are buying these sneakers as well. And just a side story, my father-in-law wore them to work one day, and he came back here and said, "You need to give me like 10 pairs of these. I'll sell them the next day." And he did. So I gave him the sizes he needed, and he brought them to work, and they got all the guys there loved them. So that was just we didn't expect that type of audience or that to happen, but it did.
It's good to hear.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. And we're speaking about loyalty, Dan. We announced the new program on our new website, the Champions Club. So for every customer that comes in, once they place an order, they have the ability to make an account. Through that, they get points that can be redeemed for future purchases. You get points for liking us on Facebook, following us on Instagram, sharing us on Facebook, and each person has their own private link to share on social media or email or whatever. So every time that link is used to purchase a shoe, not only does the person sharing it get $10, the person that uses it gets $10 to use towards Paragrappler. So a lot of ways to earn bucks. I think 1,000 points equals $20. 2,000 points equals $50. 3,000 points equals like $100. So we're seeing a lot of repeat buyers. We want to kind of have the same little business model in terms of rewards that Starbucks has. Anyone who's ever used the Starbucks app, it kind of does a good job at keeping you coming back for more. I'm not trying to compare a $5 cup of coffee to these awesome shoes, but the loyalty's there. People use it if you have it.
Hey, I love me some good coffee, so I'm right there with you.
Terragrappler coffee. There you go.
There you
That's
go.
the next line.
For all the
The
coaches,
logo will look good on the side of a mug.
right?
Yes, it would.
Yeah, this is what's going to get Dad up to help get you to that tournament Saturday morning. There you go.
Exactly.
Awesome stuff. Yeah, I'm going to have to take a look at that. Obviously, I've gotten 2 pairs. I need to go make sure I'm on that list for that for doing all that kind of stuff there.
Yeah, for sure. And then anyone listening, if you've made a past purchase and over the last from the 1.5, the Predator 1.5, and if you didn't have an opportunity to sign up for an account, you can email us. We'll make sure you get credit for those purchases and get your account active and up to date, so you can kind of enjoy some perks along the way. We have new socks coming out over the next 2 months, new winter hats, new steel water bottle thermoses, and a bunch of like Icon tees that people will really love. A lot of the long sleeve Icon tees went really, really fast on the site. Very comfortable.
Awesome.
And then a new line of sweats as well called Butter Fleece that are extremely comfortable. My fiance wears them my wife, I should say now. I got married this week. She wears them every single day since like December. So.
That's right up my alley. I love sweats. That's like one of my things, especially during the wrestling season. Always wearing sweatpants, and so I might have to look into the sweats.
For
yeah,
sure.
hit us up. We'll hook you up, man.
Sure. Like COVID, it's been shorts, but yeah, once it gets winter, if we're all still at home, it's going to be living in sweats instead of shorts. So, that's the one thing about going back to teaching. I'll be like, look, I'm just going to teach like I was when I was at home, guys, and we're going to deal with shorts all day long. So, well, guys, I really appreciate you guys coming out.
Most definitely.
Honest about what you guys do and, thought process on anything. And those are slick.
Jared's got some new samples.
Ooh.
Yeah, these are eventually, the colors will change, but these are going to be the Pin Cancer Wrestle for a Cure shoes that'll be coming out. Dan, do you know a date on it?
Well, yeah, these aren't releasing. So these are the shoe incentives for the kids that raise money during the tournament.
Okay.
So we have a whole product line. It worked awesome last year. It was the first year that we did it with the Pin Cancer Nationals. Jared and I designed all the gear. We brought it in and it was great. The kids came in, we got their information, and then basically put together everything that they earned. A lot of kids earned our shoes. The Predator Lights that we made, which is a phenomenal shoe. I think we ended up having like over 100 kids raise over $1,000 for that tournament. in all. We did like 170,000 on the weekend, so it definitely worked, which is why we're continuing to do it. But as Jared just showed you, that's I think we're going with teal and purple which is our new colors of our logo. But this is, again, just a variation of one of our shoes, small things in there, like where it says Wrestle for a Cure. And this is kind of how our process works. Jared will send me a bunch of renderings, and if I like it, for Pink Cancer, we get the shoe made, we get a sample in, and we take a look at it, and then we look at it and say, where do we want to make improvements? Here's another one that's just never been released. So we like to stick with the gold, just because gold is childhood cancer awareness color. Okay. And so every Pink Cancer shoe has a piece of gold in it. So that's another design for Pink Cancer. That one we might do or might not. So like that's the process. So we have all these shoes sitting here. I don't know, Jared, do you want to show them the Premier 1.5s or?
Yeah, that's not the name of them, but we're not going to share the name. I'll show you the bottoms. I don't really want to show the uppers, but
I'll show you the bottom is similar. Here's one of the bottoms. Oh, you have it too.
Oh, this was all.
So again, like just looking at different, styles. This is similar to your Jokers, but this is kind of the 1.55 version of that shoe.
Okay, with the heel ran and everything on those as well. That's really cool.
So yeah, same sole.
Oh, that's nice.
Similar, different material. The structure is the same, but it's a different shoe for the most part.
Nice. Yeah, I'm looking forward to these Supernovas. This will actually be my first complete sole, kind of like the whole one. I've been used to the split soles ever since I was junior, so I'm excited about this. It's cool to see that there's going to be another one of this style because I really did enjoy this. You can tell by the wear.
Yeah, that's a good point too, Ed. Regarding full sole and split sole product availability, so we're making sure that we hit both ends of the spectrum there. Yeah. We do send out a good amount of surveys from our website from time to time, and just kind of scan the field on what people's sentiment is and where they kind of skew towards in terms of product. And then with that, we'll also have the Matiform sock, and then we'll have no Matiform sock. So we're kind of offering all ends of the spectrum. We have a commitment to offer the widest scope and the widest breadth of wrestling shoes in the next 3 to 5 years, with also a 3% market share. So a little insight on our lofty goals.
Definitely some nice stuff there. Like I said, I don't know, guys, I know we like to end our show. Tyler normally has a question. We got our little segments, Wings and Aliens. He just has a question. It's just an off-the-cuff thing. First one's easy. Second one's just a little bit out there, but that's my man. But before we get to that, does Nick, anybody else have any other questions?
I was just going to say, like, being able to look at this in depth, we don't get to see as consumers a lot of times, so I appreciate it. Like I said, I know you guys are up on my son's list of shoes, and since I said we got the same size, I think I may be able to help him influence my wife into making a purchase for him. Him to use this year. So,
well, we'll have to hook you up with a coupon code for sure.
Right, so luckily I'm not married, so I don't have to convince anyone to
buy anything.
When your wife buys like 4 leotards for your daughter's gymnastics each month, it's a lot easier to convince her to buy shoes once a year for your son. So
there you go.
Yeah.
All right. And then Pin Cancer Nationals. Did I see some that date's been posted already? Like you guys are running with that. Want to go and share that before we let Tyler hit his questions to you?
Yeah, definitely. We are switching venues this year, so we're going a little further out west. It's going to be in State College, PA, so basically Penn State territory. And we moved it from August to November 7th right now. So November 7th is the day. It's run on one day. It's a Saturday. Again, that we've been doing that for about 6 years, gotten all the kinks out. The past few years, we've had a phenomenal turnout, great tournament. We have an open division, so I expect all you guys to sign up and compete. If you do, I will give you a free pair of shoes.
Oh,
there you go.
Wow. Throwing the gauntlet out.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can have that registration.
It's like, what?
Hey, we had a guy there for two years in a row. The past few years, I think he's like 60, maybe a little bit older. He competes. But yeah, so November 7th. Yeah, we try to. Yeah, well, yeah. I think most of the guys that wrestle him know what's going on, so they take it easy. But in regards to the tournament, registration's not open yet. I have to build the registration page. So the way it's set up is once you sign up, it automatically generates a fundraising page. You edit it. You can share that page online, and then that's how you collect donations. The first incentive is that if you raise, I think, $150, we refund your entry fee. So last year, like I said, I think we had 75 kids or more, I think more, get free entry into the tournament. All it takes is posting on Facebook, and grandma or grandpa or whoever, aunts and uncles, see it in other states, they donate, and boom, $150. The parents are happy. They don't have to pay for their kid to go to the tournament. So, and we made it one day now, so a lot of guys aren't having to stay over in a hotel. So hopefully we have it November 7th. Fingers crossed. But we'll see what happens come that. But regardless, if something were to happen and that week they close the country down, we're still going to fundraise online, and what we'll end up doing is whatever incentives those kids earn, we'll just ship them.
Gotcha.
That's a good backup plan to have. So that's awesome to keep going for the Penn Cancer, because that's what it's really all about at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's what it's about, raising the funds. So, I mean, I love the tournament. It's great energy. It's really cool to see some of the same faces come back every single year. We've had kids that have been doing it for 6-7 years now, and we want to grow it. The goal is to have a West Coast and an East Coast. It just comes down to manpower. I mean, right now you're looking at basically Penn Cancer's whole organization along with Terra Grapplers. So there's 2 of us. So it just comes down to resources and time, and really I have some phenomenal people that volunteer. We have a group of like 10, 12 people that are there at the Nationals. And then we also have a tournament director that we partner with. So I actually did it the first year, and I'll never do it again. It was a nightmare. So now we just get to show up, set our table up, and I speak, and that's it for me. I go and I watch. So most of the funds are already raised before the tournament, so we just have to go there.
Well, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure it'd be a hard sell for me to tell my son there's a tournament basically at Penn State, November 7th with Penn Cancer, for him to say he didn't want to go. So, no, I don't know if I would be competing, but my son would probably be competing up there.
All right, cool.
Awesome. All right, Tyler, we're going to let you hit him with questions.
I apologize for this, by the way. Since Ed won't, I will apologize.
So it's like he said, it's a completely off the cuff question. It's got nothing to do with wrestling. It's just kind of to end it on a light note. I'll just ask the one question. I'm not going to hit you with 2.
It's Wayne Dan aliens.
Well, I know I've got to get back out there because I've kind of left my people out here just working instead of joining them. They're probably wondering where I'm at, but yeah. So basically, the question is, if you get abducted by aliens tomorrow, and they tell you have to bring one genre of music with you as they take you through the galaxy, what genre of music would that be?
So whatever falls under Dave Matthews Live, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say something like Rusted Root, like something easy going, for sure.
Something easy going.
Yeah, definitely live. I love the live sets when
Live
they kind of go off the cuff and start singing like random songs and come back to the regular riff. It's my cup of tea.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good choice. Dave Matthews is a good choice.
we play music as well, so
my man.
we would have to definitely be something live like that. Yeah, for sure.
I also play guitar, so
Awesome.
I love that. That's awesome.
I
You know
have a
what?
guitar.
With that question,
I
like,
picked it
how
up.
would you have known any of that if we didn't have our segment from Tyler to end it with some music?
There you go.
Yeah.
I picked it up in high school, and I taught myself, and really it helped me during wrestling season, especially because like I just go in my room and just play after like a crappy practice, or I didn't have too many bad matches, but after a bad match or something like that, I would just sit there and play. It's awesome. I recommend it to anyone to learn guitar.
There you go. This is the son.
What's up,
probably
dude?
try to get up November 7th.
There you
Put
go.
it in your calendar right now. Put it in your phone.
Pin Cancer National. So, oh, sorry. There you go. Yeah. So he doesn't know about it. So yeah, November 7th, Pin Cancer National. So Pinstone.
Now I've seen your
up there
face.
in that area.
I expect you to be there.
There you go. Cool deal.
Got a backpack on. Where are you going?
He's going to school. It's open now.
I don't know.
Practice.
Yeah, I think they got their club practice. They're getting ready to head off here since about that time. Again,
Awesome.
appreciate it, guys. I will put Hair Grappler, Pin Cancer, you guys' Instagram handles on there. And normally I get everything uploaded, all the podcast platforms from iTunes to Stitcher and all that. So we'll have all that tomorrow, and I'll send you guys send you a message there.
Yeah, let's make a habit of doing this every time we release a shoe and kind of give some background, even if it's just a half hour. So if you guys want to,
Yeah.
I'm 100% down with
airtime out
that.
of it.
Yeah, we
No
are
doubt.
for sure.
Well, thanks, guys.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. No, thank you.
Hi guys. See ya.
Enjoy.
See ya.
Bye bye.